All right, let's dive into this fascinating world of the Turkish language. Looks like we've got a great mix of articles and notes here.
Yeah, definitely enough to keep us busy.
For sure, and we're going to dig through it all.
Absolutely. Unearth those hidden gems about Turkish.
Exactly, and cover it all.
Yep.
The history, the alphabet, the grammar, the whole 9 yards.
And even touch on how it connects with Turkey culture, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Can't forget about that.
definitely not.
I was blown away to learn that Turkish is spoken by like over 90 million people worldwide.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, making it like the 18th most spoken language
Globally, yeah.
global. That's huge. And get this, the grammar is supposed to be super logical.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. Curious to see how that all plays out.
Well, what I find captivating about Turkish is how much it's changed over time.
Oh, really?
Adapted and evolved.
Uh-huh.
The Turkish we hear today is like the culmination of centuries of these influences.
So it's not just like a language stuck in time.
No, not at all.
It's got like a story to tell.
It has a rich history. Absolutely.
Wow.
And, you provided some really great resources on that whole evolution from that old Anatolian Turkish, the Seljuk Turks brought to the region,
Right.
all the way to the Turkish spoken today.
Wow, that's a journey.
Yeah. And a major part of that journey was the switch from, the Arabic script to the Latin alphabet.
Oh, wow, in the early 20th century, right?
Exactly. And I bet that resonates with you, as an English speaker.
It does. I've tried learning languages with different alphabets,
Right.
and it's tough. So using the Latin alphabet, I mean, that feels like a pretty good head start, but
Right.
how did that switch actually affect the language itself?
It was huge, a
Mm.
real game changer.
Huh.
This reform, back in 1928,
Okay.
it was a pivotal moment for Turkish.
Yeah.
Like, it propelled it into the modern era. And it wasn't just about the script. They really wanted to simplify the language,
Yeah.
align it with modern Turkish society. It's
Mm.
like a software update for a language.
I like that. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm starting to get a sense of this like depth
Mm,
of history here.
yeah,
The Turkish we hear today is the product of this like amazing evolution,
absolutely.
influenced by empires, migrations, revolutions in language even.
You got it.
And like we said earlier, it's not just spoken in Turkey, right? It's in
Mhm.
Cyprus, it's in parts of Europe and the Middle East. That's quite a reach.
Yes.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The alphabet and pronunciation.
Okay.
Turkish alphabet, 29 letters,
Right.
23 of which are, we share with English.
That makes it easier.
So far, so good. But then we've got these 6 characters that are unique to Turkish.
Right.
Full hens, I, O, she, and I.
And those unique characters lead to some very interesting sounds.
Oh, I bet.
Remember, Turkish is phonetic, so each letter generally, represents one sound.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really fun.
Okay.
Vowel harmony.
Vowel harmony. I kept seeing that pop up in the articles you sent over. What's the deal with that?
It's like, think of it as a beautiful dance between vowels.
Okay.
In Turkish, the vowels in the suffixes, they have to harmonize with the vowels in the root word.
What do you mean?
Like they belong to specific groups.
Ah, okay.
And understanding this harmony, it's not just about pronunciation, it's about understanding how the language works.
So it's not just saying the words right.
No,
It's understanding how the sounds actually fit together.
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Especially for grammar.
Especially for grammar. And when it comes to those special characters like we were just talking about,
Yeah.
they bring their own quirks to the table.
Okay.
It has that G sound, like chair.
Okay.
And then sedum, it actually lengthens the vowel that comes before it.
So it's like it doesn't make a sound itself.
Right.
It just like directs the sound around it.
It's like a silent director.
Exactly. And then we have A.
Ah, yes, E. 2 personalities for this one,
Oh, really?
depending on whether it has a dot or not.
Oh, wow.
With a dot, it's like the E in C. Without it, more like the I in sit.
So much personality for just one letter. I'm starting to see the nuances here.
Right.
Okay, so just to recap,
Mm.
a few helpful hints for our fellow English speakers. J, pronounced like the G in mirage.
Oh.
Y, like the Y in yellow. E, like the shoot in
Mm.
shoot.
Mm.
And Z, straightforward, like in zip. With this, at least we can try to sound a bit more Turkish.
You got it.
Okay, let's talk grammar. Something that really caught my eye is how often Turkish grammar is described as being like surprisingly logical and consistent.
It is.
Why is that?
Well, that's because Turkish is an agglutinative language.
Agglutinative.
It means that you build words by attaching these suffixes to root words. And that creates a system that's way more structured and predictable, than languages that have tons of irregular verbs exceptions.
So instead of memorizing all those exceptions, it's more like understanding the system, the underlying system.
Exactly. It's like building with Legos.
Legos, okay, I like that.
You have your base word, and then you add all these different suffixes, to change its meaning, its function. And that makes Turkish grammar really consistent.
That actually makes it sound less intimidating.
Right.
Yeah.
Way less scary.
I'm feeling a bit more confident about tackling this. But there's one thing that did stand out to me as a potential challenge. The sentence structure.
Yeah.
Subject, object, verb, right. It's pretty different from English.
It is. While English is subject, verb, object,
Right.
Turkish puts the verb at the very end of the sentence.
Okay.
It might feel a little backward at
I
first,
can imagine.
but it creates this sense of anticipation.
Oh.
It allows for a really detailed and expressive communication style. Like you get all this information,
Okay.
and then the action is revealed.
So it's almost like setting the stage and building up that suspense before the main event.
Exactly. And it lets you build complex sentences with all these embedded clauses, which adds to the expressiveness.
Wow, that's pretty cool. From what I've read, Turkish also has no grammatical gender or articles.
That's right. Which might seem like a small detail,
Right.
but it can actually make sentence construction and comprehension a lot easier for learners.
So less to worry about. But there must still be grammatical elements that require some effort, like verb tenses and conjugation, for example.
Oh, for sure. Turkish verbs are really versatile.
Oh, boy.
You have 6 persons, 5 voices, 4 main tenses.
Okay.
And all of that is expressed through suffixes, remember?
Yeah, right.
So it's like a puzzle. But once you understand the pieces,
Yeah.
you can build all sorts of expressions.
It sounds like mastering the verb conjugation is like the key to unlocking the expressive power of Turkish.
Absolutely. And there are other nuances too, like the flexibility of sentence structure with inverted and elliptical sentences for emphasis, and the way yes-no questions are formed with particles at the end of the sentence.
Interesting. So while the grammar might have a few surprises up its sleeve,
It does.
it seems like it's ultimately based on a system, a logical system,
It is.
which is encouraging.
Very encouraging. And, speaking of logic, one of the things I find most rewarding about learning Turkish is how its structure, kind of reflects a deeper cultural logic.
Ooh, that's an interesting thought. We've talked about the structure, but how does that connect to culture exactly?
Well, take that subject-object-verb order, for example.
Okay.
It's not just some random grammar rule.
Right.
It actually mirrors something you see a lot in Turkish storytelling.
Oh, really?
You set the scene,
Okay.
you introduce the characters,
Yeah.
you build up all the context, and then, boom, the verb drops and reveals the action.
It's like that slow burn,
It is.
building to the climax in like a classic Turkish tale.
Exactly. And it's not just storytelling. This focus on context, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
In everyday conversations, Turks tend to take their time.
Mhm.
They build rapport, they find common ground, they really want to understand the situation before they get to the point.
That makes me think about that emphasis on hospitality in Turkish culture,
Right.
Like you're always welcomed with open arms,
Yeah.
offered tea, offered conversation.
Hmm.
There's a genuine interest in getting to know you before moving on to, business or whatever else.
That's a really great observation. It's all connected. And this cultural context is, I think, it's crucial to truly mastering Turkish. It's not just words and rules. It's about understanding how it's actually used.
Yeah. The articles you sent, they had a lot to say about that.
Mhm.
Like that piece about how important it is to tell the difference between formal and informal speech.
Absolutely. That distinction is so important in Turkish. Using the wrong form can lead to, well, offense, awkwardness, unintentionally.
Right, right.
It's like, I don't know, showing up in a tuxedo to a casual barbecue.
It just doesn't fit the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So politeness, cultural sensitivity, they're all woven into language learning.
It's like you've got to understand those unspoken rules of communication.
You got it. And then you've got idioms and expressions.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about those.
They're like little windows into the Turkish mindset.
Okay.
They often don't translate literally, but they carry these cultural values, beliefs, humor.
It's like cracking a secret code
Right.
that unlocks this deeper level of understanding.
Yeah. And I'll give you a great example. There's a saying, damlaya, damlaya gol olur.
Okay.
It translates to drop by drop, a lake is formed.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It is. It's this beautiful metaphor for the power of persistence and patience. Even small efforts,
Yeah.
they can lead to big results over time.
That's a great one. It says so much about, like, the Turkish work ethic.
It does. And these sayings, you hear them all the time in
Uh-huh.
everyday conversations.
Wow.
So learning them, it's not just vocabulary, it's insight into the Turkish worldview.
It's like having a cultural insider's guide.
Right.
Okay, so we've covered, like, a lot.
We have.
Historical evolution, alphabet, pronunciation, grammar, the cultural nuances of it all. But how do we put this all together, like, practically speaking?
That's where the fun really begins.
Okay.
Those articles mentioned a bunch of strategies, but I think it comes down to finding what works for you, for your learning style. You enjoy watching movies.
Love them. Big movie fan.
Okay, well then diving into Turkish cinema can be amazing.
Right.
You're hearing these authentic conversations, you pick up idioms, you get a feel for Turkish humor.
It's like a window into daily life.
Exactly. And if you're a reader, exploring Turkish literature is just as good. There are so many genres, from classic poetry to modern novels, all these unique perspectives on the Turkish experience.
I remember reading Orhan Pamuk's My Name is Red years ago
Oh, fantastic.
and just being captivated by it.
Yeah.
It definitely sparked my interest in learning more about the language.
Reading is so powerful for language learning.
Yeah.
You see different styles, you learn new words, you absorb grammar naturally. It's almost like osmosis.
And we can't forget music.
Oh, of course not. Turkish music is great for tuning your ear to the rhythm, the sounds of the language.
Okay.
It's so diverse, from traditional folk songs with those haunting melodies
Yeah.
to modern pop that'll get you dancing. It's a really fun way to familiarize yourself with the sounds, pick up vocab, even learn some cultural references.
Learn while having a dance party.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've got Turkish cuisine and the arts.
Okay.
That's a real feast for the senses.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine trying traditional dishes, learning how to brew Turkish coffee, those intricate patterns on Turkish carpets.
It's like immersing yourself in the culture through all your senses.
It is.
Makes me think of that saying, the best way to learn a language is to fall in love with its culture.
Beautiful. That's so true. When you connect with the culture, the language comes alive. It's more than just words and grammar. It becomes this key to understanding a whole other way of life.
Wow, that's amazing. So basically, immersing ourselves in Turkish culture isn't just some fun little side thing. It's like a core part of the journey.
It enriches your understanding, you appreciate it more, and it makes the whole process more rewarding.
Okay. Okay, so we've really explored this.
We have.
Turkish history, the grammar, we've dipped our toes into the culture. But I think it's time to address the elephant in the room.
Okay, what's that?
Why?
Why what?
Why go on this adventure? Why learn Turkish?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think what makes learning Turkish so special is that, it's not just about adding another language to your list.
Right.
It's about unlocking all these possibilities.
Okay.
Personal, professional, you name it.
And the materials you gave me, they touched on that a bit, like how knowing Turkish can really open doors in so many different fields.
Exactly. Think about Turkey, right?
Yeah.
It's a bridge between, Europe and Asia,
Mm.
a hub for economic activity,
Right.
a real melting pot of cultures. And knowing Turkish,
Yeah.
that can give you a real edge in, international relations, business, tourism,
Yeah.
even archaeology.
I'm already picturing myself in the Grand Bazaar, in Istanbul, haggling like a pro in Turkish.
There you go.
Or maybe even translating some ancient Ottoman text.
That's the dream.
But honestly, what excites me most is, that human connection.
Yeah.
Being able to connect with Turkish speakers on a deeper level. Understanding their jokes, appreciating their literature, even singing along to their music. It's like you're adding another dimension to your life.
It is. And, there's actually research that shows that learning a new language, especially when it's structured differently from your native language, like Turkish,
Okay.
it gives your brain a real workout.
Interesting.
Boosts your memory, sharpens those problem-solving skills.
So it's like a gym membership for your brain.
Exactly.
You're learning a new language
Yeah.
and getting a mental workout all at the same time.
Two birds, one stone. It forces you to think differently, to be more adaptable, and to really see those different perspectives. And honestly, those benefits,
Yeah.
they go way beyond just language.
The materials you sent over, they did emphasize that Turkish has a pretty steep learning curve.
Yeah?
Some even called it like challenging but rewarding.
Well, it's true. Turkish doesn't come easy.
Right. Yeah.
But that's part of the appeal, those aha moments when you finally get it.
Yeah.
When that grammar concept clicks or you decode this crazy sentence.
You can imagine.
It's a constant journey of discovery and growth.
It's like solving a puzzle. And the more pieces you get into place, the more satisfying that final picture becomes.
Exactly. And with Turkish, the final picture is this incredible tapestry of language, history, and culture.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what would you say to someone who's, hesitant, maybe even intimidated by learning Turkish?
I'd say embrace the challenge.
Okay.
Every language learner starts somewhere.
Right.
And every step, no matter how small, it gets you closer.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
It is.
But focusing on those small victories can really keep you motivated.
Absolutely. And don't be scared to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of the process. In fact, they're often the best teachers.
I've definitely made a few language learning blunders over the years.
You too?
But I learned something from each one.
Exactly. And, you don't have to do this alone.
Right.
Find resources that inspire you.
Okay.
Get a language partner, join a community online, listen to music, watch movies, make it fun.
Turn it into a cultural adventure.
Exactly. Because learning Turkish, it's not just about the words and grammar.
Right.
It's about opening yourself to this whole world. New perspectives, new experiences, new connections. It's about enriching your life.
Wow.
Becoming a citizen of the world.
So to everyone out there ready to start this adventure, we say, Hoş geldiniz.
Welcome to the world of Turkish.
We hope this deep dive has given you a little bit of knowledge and a whole lot of inspiration to get started.
Happy learning, everyone.
Happy learning.